All right. What is up, guys? Devin, what's up, man? How's it going? Going okay today? I sound okay? Can you hear me okay? Can't stay long. I don't know if I'll be streaming later today or not. We'll be back on tomorrow for that versus tomorrow night. If you're not doing anything, we'll be on doing that. But I'm just gonna do this today. I think. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I got that Killer Frequency game. I can't remember if it was you or if it was the other guy that suggested that, but I thought about doing that. I don't know if I'm gonna do it today or not though. Grape Shot, what's up, man? Columbus, Ohio, nice, nice. You did? Okay, I was thinking it was you. Yeah, I did end up getting it. It was on sale for like 16 bucks on Steam. Like, hell yeah, I'm picking that up. So I ended up getting that, and what else did I get? I got another one too. Oh, WrestleQuest. That was on sale too. So I'll play that on the wrestling channel that I've got. I like RPGs, so yeah. So you kind of already know what happens. I can't wait to get into it, man. After you suggested it, I watched just a little bit, like early gameplay and like a trailer maybe, and I was all over it. So I'm gonna be playing it soon. I'm gonna end up I'm gonna rank some Halloween films today. I kind of like last night. I end up with a lot more rankings than wanting to do a lot more rankings. So man, it's gonna be a lot of editing, a lot of crazy time and it's gonna take me away from Friday. And like, I think it's just gonna be better to try out the streaming thing, and I wanted to do that anyway on the movie side, not just the game side. So I've got everything loaded up here. I think we're ready to get started here in just a second. See how long it takes. I've got some top 5 moments that I wrote down too for the Halloween franchise we didn't cover. Doesn't necessarily have to be kills, but there's just different moments. That was kind of hard to decide as well. I don't know if I'm 100% sold on my list yet. Oh, you beat Spider-Man 2 already? Was it good? I have not played it yet. Honestly, I'm so backlogged that I haven't even beat the first one. I think I'm like 3/4 of the way through, and then I put it down. And I don't know why. I'm really bad about doing that now. I'll end up getting a new game, and then I'll play it for a while, and then I'll run out of time, and then once you put it down, it's hard to go back into it. And I've had the bad habit of just keep buying shit and not finishing it. So I need to go back. I need to bring myself to do that. Just go back. And I don't know how well non-horror games would work on this channel, but I thought about just doing backlog games and just like maybe one day a week or something, either streaming or doing a video on them, and just whatever. Because there's a lot of stuff that I really want to go back and play. And that would maybe even, doing it on here would kind of force me, I think, to do it. But there's a lot of good horror stuff too that I want to play. I still didn't, was it Until Dawn? Still haven't beat that. Okay, let's see. Everything. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and roll with it. See if we can get some more people in here over time. So when I decided to rank this series, there's a couple things. Or you could do a second non-horror gaming channel until Dawn is Fire. So is the Quarry. I need to play the Quarry as well. Yeah, I might do that. I might just do a secondary channel for the non-horror stuff. So what I did for this ranking, there's a couple things. I ended up putting Curse. I split Curse because since I split Curse of Michael Myers in my review, I kind of did both of them, did a comparison, and then I rated both of them. I'm gonna go ahead and put them on the list twice. So I'm gonna rank the producer's cut, and I'm gonna rank the theatrical cut. The only thing is I'm not going to be ranking the theatrical and unrated cuts or director's cuts of the Rob Zombie films, and I'm not going to be ranking the theatrical and the TV versions of Halloween's 1 and 2. So the only movie that I separated from producers to theatrical was Halloween 6, just like I did in my review. So I'm not going to be ranking those other ones today. I'm just kind of ranking the Rob Zombie Halloweens kind of as their own thing. Grape Shot, Halloween 2 and 4 are my favorites, even though the Thorn trilogy. Yeah, I really like the Thorn trilogy a lot, and 6 has grown on me a lot, as you'll see here today. Some of these you might find interesting. Some of them may not be that surprising to you. I will also say that these are not in the exact order of my review scores from my review videos. Some of them will be a little bit off because as much as I might like a couple of them, I might, the scores doesn't matter to me as much as fun factor. So I might know that a movie can objectively review a movie and know, yeah, this is probably better overall than the last one, but I had more fun with the last one. So that's kind of how I ranked some of these. You'll find, you might be surprised at my number one. Some of you may not be surprised at my number one, but it might not be what you think. All right, so let's get started on that with that out of the way. Go in here, load up. Number 14. It's like I said, since I'm there's 13 movies, there's gonna be 14 spots on this because I'm splitting the Halloween 6 up into producers and theatrical cut. So number 14 is Halloween 2, Rob Zombie, 2009. It is dead last. It is a dumpster fire of a movie in my eyes. I think that it might have been the lowest that I rated, but either way, yeah, it's just such a dumpster fire. And it's no offense to anybody who likes these movies. If you like Rob Zombie movies, that's fine. I like his older stuff, like House of 1,000 Corpses. The first Halloween was a little bit better, but this one was just an absolute dumpster fire. The only saving grace in this movie is Annie and Brad Dourif's Lee Brackett. You know, the fact that those two characters are still decent to me, and of course her death was devastating, and the scene between her and Laurie in that was the only time that I really liked the movie, as much as I hated to see Annie die in that. That was the only time it was really good. And then of course Brad Dourif's scene with him reacting to her death. Other than that, just a dumpster fire of a movie. Like I said, I'm not going to split the theatrical and the director's cuts up here because they're not really different enough or interesting enough for me to do that. The theatrical cut is it shows Laurie in a little bit better of a light. She seems to be coping a little bit better in the director's cut, which is probably the unrated cut, however you want to say it. It's probably a little bit better to watch because that's what Rob Zombie really wanted. She was just detestable, and so was Dr. Loomis. Yeah, So that was my number 14. That's dead last. Ugh. Yeah. I'm gonna wash your taste out of your mouth after watching this one. See, fine here. Number 13. Okay. This might not come to a surprise to many here who have watched my channel, but it may not be something you agree with. But coming in second to last, number 13, is Halloween Ends. Also a dumpster fire of a movie. A grape shot. A dumpster fire lit with napalm, and the icing on the napalm cake was, he said, die. Yeah, that was pretty awful. Pretty awful. Yeah, number 13 though for me, Halloween Ends, guys. If you've watched my review, you know why. It is a very well produced film, and I would hope so for the budget, since it was like double Halloween Kills and Halloween 2018, and I don't know where all that money went. I mentioned it last night on our stream. I don't know if it's due to the COVID thing or getting pushed back or marketing or what was, or maybe because it was filmed in Georgia and not North Carolina. But I don't know why this budget was twice the budget of the first two. Either way, it was not done well. If you want to know why it was not done well, you can go back and watch my review where I rant about it all day. It is just not good. Michael was virtually not in it, and I know people make the argument that he wasn't in the first one very long either, but the center focus of this movie wasn't even about him. It was about Corey Cunningham, and if you like that, whatever. I thought it was dog shit. Just my opinion. Grape shot. I wish the sheriff had said the convoluted voodoo chant in that movie. It would have made the movie a lot better. Yeah. Okay, so like I said, I'll move on from this one fairly quickly because we've got some more to get to, and I've already ranted and raved enough about this movie over the last year, and especially in my review, that I don't need to do it right here. Just not good, guys. Not good at all. And like I said, I can find more enjoyment out of those much later in the franchise, even if they are bad. At least there's something to go back and watch, and they're Myers centered still, and that's really important to me. You know, it's not, and there's some nostalgia that kind of drives some of these for me, but yeah, just the fact that Ends was just a pretentious mess. Can't rate it high at all. Coming in number 12 is Rob Zombie Halloween 2007. Now, I actually ranked this or rated it a little higher, but I have to be in a real mood to watch this. I don't think it's a terrible movie. The language and the dialogue is just garbage. And I'm not really offended, and language doesn't bother me. I curse like a sailor sometimes myself, but I just don't need to sit here and watch this movie. I don't really like the first half. I know some people might find the first half the most intriguing about the movie because it was exploring that backstory of Myers. Obviously the second half of the movie was just completely remade from the first one. There was a few different kinds of shots just done. Even the shots that they try to mimic, they done in a worse way than John Carpenter, because Rob Zombie's not John Carpenter. And yeah, just all around, man, I have to be in the mood. And when I'm in that right mood, I'm like, okay, yeah, that wasn't so bad. I might watch it every few years. It's not in my yearly watch. When I do like a Halloween marathon, I don't put it in there all the time, just every now and then. So yeah, just not that high for me. Yeah, that movie tried to be Christine and It, and Michael Myers goes back to being an ordinary human when he was basically Terminator 84 and Halloween Kills. Right, and that's the thing is, you know, I understand if he was more like Jason-like or Terminator-like in Halloween, like the Thorn trilogy, say, you know, that's whatever. But you're talking about you're talking about a different timeline, and in this same timeline, you get like 3 different Michael Myers. And it was just inconsistent as all get out. I just did not care for that in Ends. Let's do number 11 now, though. Moving on from the Rob Zombie side of things. Guys, if you like the Rob Zombie ones, that's cool. But It's not for me, dog. Not for me. Coming in at number 11, Halloween 6, the theatrical cut. I did rate this separately from the producer's cut in my review, and it was much, much lower. And while I can still go back and watch this sometimes, during my marathon, I always watch the producer's cut because I like that one much better, as you'll see in just a little bit. This movie, this cut was okay. The only saving grace of this movie was literally the kills were gruesome and much gorier. Obviously, John Strode's is one of my favorites in the series. I ranked it in my top 5 last night. But that doesn't save me. It doesn't make me want to go back and watch it all the time. Like I said, if I'm in the marathon mood, I will definitely watch Halloween 6, but it will not be this cut. I don't like the MTV cut. I don't like the crazy flashes and the weird transitional cuts. The editing's really choppy and weird, and the music, the guitar riffs are okay, but I like the old score much better. And Alan Howarth, sorry, his score really came out in the original cut of this. Which became the producer's cut. This was just, I don't know. Like I said, it's not in my rotation, so it's pretty low. Let's see, coming in at number 10. We got everything. Yep. Okay. Number 10, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. So, I mean, it made the top 10. This movie is not good, but as I mentioned also in my review, it holds a special place in my heart, just being on Fear Fest on AMC growing up. You know, it was always 4 and 5 back to back. There's, like I said, there's some nostalgia there. I do like some of the kills in this movie. I do like some of the lighting in this movie. That Tower Farm scene, basically from beginning to towards the end of that scene, that setting, was all really good, well lit, really dark. Michael killing with different tools other than a knife is pretty interesting. I like that. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know really much else to say about it. The mask was terrible. The fact that it wasn't tucked in to his collar and it was so long necked, it was so goofy. Looked like kind of like an alien. Not as bad as another one I'll talk about here in a little bit, but still one of the worst ones in the series. Otherwise though, like I can make a case for this movie, and it's still in my rotation during a marathon. I don't have to necessarily be in a mood to watch this. I'm okay with watching it, and I think that's where the nostalgia comes in. But it's really not the worst in the franchise. Like I said, the other ones are either just not important enough or so egregious that I just don't want to fucking see it. But this one here, and I say it's probably mostly nostalgia, this one's okay to watch. That's why it just broke the top 10, barely. All right, moving on to number 9, Halloween Resurrection. Yes, I put Halloween Resurrection above Halloween 5, above Halloween Ends, above both Rob Zombie movies. I don't give a shit what anybody says. This movie, while not good, is not that bad. A lot of people put this at the very bottom of the list, the worst Halloween movie. I don't think so. I think it's very much a movie of its time. But, you know, back then it was a little bit ahead of its time. You know, those things that they were doing in that movie were a little bit ahead. That wasn't really that was just coming in, you know, those ghost hunter type shows, the reality TV shows, those were all the rage. They were just kind of starting back then in 2002. The Mask, I said it last night on the stream, it's good, man. I think it was my number 5's in my top 5. I think that's what I put. Anyway, you know, in the certain lighting with the eyebrows looks whack for sure. But in the shadows, when lit properly, the thing was awesome. And I thought Brad Laree did a good job. Other than a few slow motion shots, the editing overall wasn't that bad. The cinematography was actually pretty good in this. I know when everybody thinks about how bad this movie is, they always go to Busta Rhymes. And they always go to that kung fu shit and his dialogue. And yes, it is bad. And I wouldn't have chose that personally. I can find entertainment in it now, which is more than I can say for some of the movies on the bottom of my list. And that's one of the other reasons why I can put it up so high. At least I can kind of laugh at it and have fun with it. Yeah, and Sarah's kind of a bland, nothing character, wasn't a good lead girl. But the way the movie was shot, the way Michael Myers was handled for the most part, was actually pretty decent. You know, aside from maybe him getting zapped in the dick and making that weird groan sound, I don't even mind Busta Rhymes kicking him. I don't give a shit about that, because he just got right back up and beat the shit out of Freddy. So it's not like it was that bad. It was until the end when he shot him in the dick and that was really, like, that actually was worse than me. That was worse for me than him getting kicked out the window. Let's go to a comment or two here. Just watched it last night. It grew on me. Most people hate it because of what they did to Jamie Lee, but I think it's the scariest mask. You know what, man? Like I said, that mask is not bad. You get past the eyebrows, it really isn't that bad. And I mentioned this last night in our stream. That scene, I think it's Harold. I just remembered his name, Harold. When the security guard went to get Harold and he was bringing him back inside, you can see Michael standing in the dark in the woods. And the way that mask was lit, it looked very close to the original. It was really, really good. So in the shadows, they did good. And the only reason why it had so many pronounced features was so it would show up on that really cheap body cam footage better. So I get why they done it. It just looked terrible in all the natural light, or at the end in the fire where it looked really shiny. Looked kind of bad then. Grape Shot. Yeah, Halloween 5 was all about nostalgia. I went to high school with girls who acted like Tina. Yeah, dude, Tina's grown on me. Tina's not that bad. She was I think maybe an honorable mention for me last night. Or maybe she was in my top 5. I can't remember. I'm having a hard time remembering last night. Actually, I've got my... Yeah, she was my honorable mention. I got my list right here. I like Tina. She's got heart. She was unique. Yeah, she was a little bit annoying, but she wasn't as bad as other people say it either. But yeah, man, Halloween Resurrection really isn't that bad. Grape Shot says Busta Rhymes to me makes Halloween Resurrection worth watching. You know, that might be a hot take for some people, but you know, he's entertaining. He wasn't that bad. You know, I liked LL Cool J as Ronnie a little bit better in H2O, and I know that it was just a way for them to make money, and what they did with Jamie at the beginning sucked for a lot of people. But I can look past all that because people probably don't realize, and they may now, but they probably didn't realize that Jamie only appeared in this one contractually because she was obligated to, and she agreed to stay on H2O if they did this very thing. She wanted Michael dead, and she was under the assumption that Michael would die in H2O. And she said, I will stay here, and I will stay in the movie as long as you can at least, you know, Kevin Williamson come up with that ending and the beginning. You know, she said, I will stay on as long as you make people believe, as long as Laurie believes, the character believes, and as long as the audience believes that Michael is dead, I'll stay on, and then you can kill me off in the next one. So they're all part of it. This was all the plan from the very beginning back in '98. And people may not know that or have a hard time accepting that. I know it wasn't great, but it wasn't really that bad. And knowing all that, knowing that in order to keep Jamie in that they had to do this, it doesn't bother me. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you just skip that, you have the scene, you have the rest of the movie, and while it was kind of goofy and a product of its time, it was overall fun. And I'm talking about Resurrection a lot more in this stream than I expected to. Rodriguez, better masks than the CGI H2 one. Yeah, the H2O CGI mask was pretty bad. I don't really count it on my rankings just because it was literally only shot for like, what, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, maybe at the most. But it was definitely bad. I'll give you that for sure. Devin, the beginning only happened because she wanted it to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can put just as much on Jamie as the makers in this movie. I mean, I also put a lot of blame on Jamie Lee Curtis for the current trilogy. I think she had a hand in a lot of the creative and her character in that, and I didn't like it. beginning. Are you wrong one? Here we go. Or the pink blonde mask. Yeah. Oh, the Halloween 4 one, the one shot that was there for 3 seconds. Yeah, that was a goofy mistake by the crew, wasn't it? All right, let's move on to number 8 here. My number 8 is Halloween Kills. There we go. Halloween Kills was one of those that I really enjoyed the first time I watched it. And then I sat on it for a little bit and I watched it a second time. I'm like, oh, man, I don't know. All the stuff in the hospital and the evil dies tonight was something that was extremely annoying. And even when I first watched it, I'm like, this part in particular is just terrible. Like, it's real in a sense that I think people would act that way. You know, you get a group of people involved and they get really, really retarded really quick. A person is smart. Tommy Lee Jones said it best in Men in Black. Person is smart, people are dumb, panicky, and you know it. So that's why I always go back to. But overall, Ends made me appreciate Kills more. Overall, though, good slasher movie. If you're in the mood for more of a slasher movie, then Halloween Kills is it. And I thought for a slasher movie, it was really well done. The kills were gruesome, they were unique. I love Big John's kill. It was actually in my top kills as well. It's one of the most gruesome ones of the entire franchise. You know, getting a knife to the armpit and then your eyes gouged out is just gross, man. An armpit's so sensitive, that would suck. But overall, this is a pretty cool. I like the mask in this. Not as much as the 2018 mask. You know, I don't like the marshmallow look as much, but still pretty good. Still better than most of the other masks we got. Let's see. Here. Change it. Number 7 is Halloween 2018. So, I know I do give a lot of shit to the David Gordon Green trilogy, and a lot of it is well deserved. But Halloween Kills and Halloween 2018 were pretty solid movies. And, you know, they're about middle of the road for me personally. Halloween Kills is a good one to have fun with. That flashback scene was amazing. I forgot to mention that a minute ago. Halloween 2018 was also good. It's kind of getting back to the basics. It kind of feels like the first one in a way, but I also think it feels too much like all the other ones. And I know they were trying to pay respect to all the other ones by including similar scenes and throwbacks to the old movies. And while I usually appreciate that, for some reason, after the first, like, I loved it the first time, and then it kind of set on me for a little bit. I'm like, you know, why not just do something different? And I don't mean like Ends different, but I mean like come up with like your own moments, you know? Like, just because you knowingly and willingly retconned the entire franchise, including 2, which was what I was really pissed about at the time. You just went back and redid and did a lot of callbacks to number 2, especially, but the rest of them as well. So I don't know, like, it was good. It was well done. It was well shot, I guess, but it doesn't seem just next level. I guess when you look at it, if you look at the Rob Zombie movies and what we had, and then the absence, you were ready for a new one. The mask looked really good, and aesthetics is really important to me anyway. So when you first see it, you're like, holy shit, this is next level. And then it sits on you for a while, and you're like, no, it's just really kind of middle of the road. It's just a bunch of this same old shit thrown into one. That doesn't make it a bad movie. It doesn't mean that I won't watch it because it's in my rotation, but it's not as high up on the list for me as some of them. Like, there's some people who've got this number 1. There's some people who have this in their top 3. I don't think I get that. I think I can understand it being in your top 5, but I think that's a little too high. Real Michael Myers. Yo, what's up, man? How are you? Glad you could make it in here today. Let's see. And I will put everything up, guys, at the end. So that way you can kind of see. So in case you come in late and you missed it, everything will be up on the screen at the very end here. Moving on to number 6. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. the producer's cut. So I put the theatrical cut way down there. The producer's cut's much higher. I can look past the incest moment, the implied incest moment. It's pretty heavily implied, strongly implied. Everything else, and of course the the stones at the end that he stopped Myers was kind of goofy too. Everything else though, man, is I think pretty solid in this. The original score put in makes it all the more creepy, the atmosphere that much better. This is actually one of my favorite settings or atmospheres in the entire franchise. This fall outside, it looks like fall. When you look outside, it's rainy and nasty, and the leaves are changed. The leaves are on the ground. They've changed colors. Michael's menacing in this. The mask has grown on me a lot. It's definitely not the worst mask. It's in my top 5, I think, as well. You know, not as strong as Halloween 2018 or obviously the first couple movies, but still a pretty decent mask. Devin says, real Mikey in the stream. Yeah, he was creeping outside my window, I think, last night, Devin. Yeah, I didn't like the fact that it was his baby, took away some points from me. Yeah, for sure. I get that, man. It was weird. It's really weird. I try not to think about that too much. It's not, at least it was like only so, it's like a one little moment and then you can just maybe kind of forget about it. But I can look past because everything else is so good with Myers. Everything else, not everything else, but most of it's so good. At least this movie was centered around Michael and still being menacing, still having those moments. The lighting was really good. I encourage everybody, if they haven't really watched the producer's cut, or if they haven't watched it in a long time, to go back and watch that again. I think it's pretty good. I would definitely recommend it, like I've said 100 times, over the theatrical cut. Unless you just want to see some kills and you don't give a shit about anything else, this is definitely the way to go, and this is why it's moved up a lot into number 6 spot, and it's always going to be in my rotation now, for sure. Number 5. A lot of this is nostalgia, guys, for number 5. It has gone down. It used to be like number 2 or 3, number 3 on my list years ago. It's down to number 5 now. It's good. I think it's still pretty solid. I know a lot of people don't like Scream in their Halloween. Normally, I don't love Scream in my Halloween, or Christine in my Halloween, as I've said. This one, for some reason, maybe it was just the timing and the way it was done. Kevin Williamson is really good. It's coming off hot off of Scream 1 and 2. I think it mostly fits. I think the dialogue fits pretty well here. It is kind of a product of its time. I'll say it again. I've said it before. Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie, Laurie Strode in this movie, Carrie Tate, however you want to say it. This is her best movie, 100%. Other than maybe the first one, I guess. This is 100% her best movie. She acts superb in this. Her character's realistic in this. Her relationship with John is great. Her relationship with Will is great. Her come to Jesus moment at the end, knowing she's got to protect everybody around her, and she finally has to face her fear. Dude, her walking up from the gate and yelling at Michael with that axe in her hand as the music crescendos is one of my favorite moments in the entire series. Of course, the ending, if you don't count Resurrection, the ending is a perfect ending to a Halloween movie, to the franchise even, if you wanted to end it there. Yeah, there's nothing else to say. This movie is really, really solid, and I thought everybody did a really good job. Michelle Williams is underrated in this. LL Cool J is good in this. Josh Hartnett and his Cal Lick is pretty decent in this. Mariah O'Keefe, or plays Sarah. Her kill was, I said it last night, her kill scared the shit out of me as a kid, because he just kind of like pressed his foot down on her neck and pinned her down and just stabbed her. It really fucked with me a little bit as a kid. Really, really screwed me up. Obviously, the negatives on H2O is the mask, I think, other than maybe some people in their dialogue or whatever. And they put a lot of similar score, like music cues, as Scream, but that didn't bother me. But the mask is obviously what most people talk about. The eyes being cut, his hair being wild. They used the Halloween 6 mold for the beginning, If you go back and watch the beginning when he kills Marion Chambers, that is a really good scene. I think it looks really good, especially when the cops show up and he does a quick turn and you can see him in the light in that mask and that lighting. The hair's a little bit flatter and shorter in this movie than it was in 6. And it just overall in the shadows looked really, really good. I encourage people to go back. If you haven't seen H2 in a while, go back and just watch that beginning scene. That looks really good. They should have kept that. The first K and B mask, my opinion, is the worst mask in the entire fucking series. We didn't do like a full ranking of the masks last night, just our top 5, but it's the worst, man. You think the 5 looks like an alien? This one looks the worst, 100%. It's got like a little button nose and the real wide eyes, slick back hair. It's terrible. There's no there's no definition, nothing special about the features. Yeah, just awful, man, awful. I would gladly take the final mask here over that mask. The final mask here is probably middle of the road. It gets shit on a lot. I don't think it deserves all the hate. It's not that bad. There's some shots that it looks really good, and I said I would accept it over 5's mask. I would accept it over Rob Zombie Halloween 2's mask, and I would accept it over obviously the K&B original from this movie. So yeah, let's get some comments real quick. Devin's harassing the real Michael Myers in the chat. Yo, Mikey, what's up with you killing dogs? He ain't gonna do that, man. He's not gonna do that. He's gonna keep killing. That's what he does. That's all he knows. Rodriguez says, well, now that Miramax has the rights and possibly movie rights to create a cinematic universe, they can possibly do some creative things. Well, Miramax, already had the movie rights. Now they just have the TV rights. That was kind of confusing, the way they reported that, because they said that Miramax was shopping the rights to the film and TV franchise. I don't know, the way it was reported on Bloody Disgusting the first time, the way I read it was like they were shopping them, and Trancas was shopping it. So I was thinking, oh, they're selling, or they're just shopping distribution rights. And then you come to find out that they swooped in on A24, whatever, at the last second and purchased the TV rights, and they're keeping the film rights, I guess. Or maybe they're still up for it. I've heard that too. I don't know. I do agree. I don't really hate the fact that as long as they find somebody good to make the movie, I'm not too worried about it. But we've been stuck with Miramax long enough, probably, but it's whatever. There could be a lot worse. I was kind of hoping Paramount would actually pick it up or something, just something different. I don't know how I feel about a TV show. I don't know how that's going to work unless you do I don't want to see any kind of prequel. I don't want to see any kind of backstory. I don't think we need that. I don't think Michael belongs, or his story belongs, in TV. This is just my opinion. I don't want a Dr. Loomis show. I don't care. I love Dr. Loomis, but Donald Pleasance isn't around. If you can get Tom Jones Jr. to do it, that'd be kind of neat, I guess, but I feel like it belongs in movie form. Michael Myers belongs in movie form. If you want to do like an anthology series, do like Halloween 3, continue on something like that in the TV aspect, that's fine. I don't know how else you would do it, but maybe I'll be proven wrong and it might be okay. I think Michael belongs on the big screen. And cinematic universe, that sounds a little bit superhero-y for me. That sounds a little bit Marvel. I read that too. I know that probably means nothing, but the way it's worded, all I can think of when I hear cinematic universe is DC or Marvel, and I don't know how I feel about that. That I could just be reading into it too much, honestly. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Number 4. I'm a little bit leery. I'm even leery of the Friday the 13th series coming up. I just don't know what they're gonna do. I guess it's supposed to be prequel, maybe. Pamela. I can kind of see if they do something with Pamela. I can kind of see how that might work, because she's going to, maybe in the 20 years span or whatever, she's keeping the camp closed by killing people and sabotaging shit. But all I can think of when I think of prequels is like Bates Motel or Gotham or something like that, and just like, it's gonna get old in no time. It might be good for just a little bit, but it's going to get old in no time. Okay, coming in number 4. We're getting right through this, actually, kind of. Coming in number 4 is Halloween 3. This movie, might be at the bottom or middle of the road for some people. I'm not, trying to sound pretentious here, but I think it's one of the stronger films in the series. I think just because it's so unique. This movie, man, I didn't watch for a long time because it didn't have Michael Myers. I was one of those people. Like, I didn't have Michael Myers. I don't understand what's happening here. But, as an adult going back and watching it, I understand the whole thing. It's Michael Myers was supposed to be done in Halloween 2. They were supposed to move on and do something different. Tommy Lee Wallace, I thought, did a really good job in this movie. It's like Andrew, my buddy that did the stream with me last night, really got me back into Halloween. He was more of a Friday fan. I'm a Halloween fan, but after he watched Halloween 3, he's like, all right, you need to go back and watch it again. Just as a standalone 80s film. And I did, and I absolutely loved it. I was wrong the entire time. It was great, man. They had the balls to kill a kid. They had the balls to leave it with that ending and potentially kill millions of kids. Ellie Grimbridge was a good character up until the end of being a fembot. That was stupid. I think everybody pretty much universally agrees with that. I love Tom Atkins. Dr. Dan Chalice is one of my favorite male leads in this entire series. Connell Cochran's a great bad guy. Yeah, it's absurd. It's a pod movie. It's not a slasher movie, but overall it's pretty fun, I think. And I think if you just look at it on its own, it is one of the stronger ones in the series. If you're like me and just like wild, crazy 80s horror. But that's why, just something different. Obviously, you still have the same crew here. I think Dean Cundy was still involved. John Carpenter was still involved. He did the score. Tommy Lee, pretty much the entire crew from Halloween 2 was back to do this. So you still had that feel. And maybe it's just because it has that John Carpenter touch, man, that crew's touch. You put it on, man. I love the music. It's one of those movies, kind of like the first 2. And much of other John Carpenter's movies, like They Live, The Fog. I can put those on and just kind of drift off to sleep or just kind of settle into it's like MySpace, right? Like, it's like a good feeling spot. And that's the way those movies make me feel. And it's crazy to think, because if you would have got with me, 8 years ago, I'd been like, nah, but it's completely turned around. See, real Michael Myers, man. I remember when I was 8, 9 years old, my grandpa took me to the Blockbuster to rent all the Halloween movies. When I got to 3, we were so confused as to where Michael Myers was. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I don't remember what year it was. I was pretty young, early 2000s probably. I'd already watched one, or not one. I probably watched 1 by then, but I definitely watched 2 as my first one, and I watched 4 and 5 on Fear Fest all the time. 3 came on Fear Fest, I think it was Sci-Fi or AMC Fear Fest, and not knowing, it was not on much at the time, and I finally got a chance to catching it, and like, what the hell is this? That guy doused himself in the gasoline in his car at the beginning and blew up Hollywood style, blew up in like 3 seconds. But I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I watched it for a little bit, and Michael never showed, and of course, not knowing the backstory at the time, you're just like, what the hell? So yeah, I just kind of tossed it to the side. I'm like, well, I don't know what this is. I'm not digging it. I'll just go back to watching 2 and 4. So yeah, I feel you there, bud. Devin says, it's a good movie, but I'm against counting it as a Halloween movie. Halloween as a franchise anyway. That's understandable too. I'm ranking it here just because, it is part of the franchise technically. And I do love it. I want to show it some love. I think it deserves it after all these years. But yeah, I kind of understand where it's at. They definitely shouldn't have called it Halloween 3. I think I said this in my review. Calling it Season of the Witch may have been better for the movie in the 80s. It may have been better for the movies. Maybe in the short term. But at the same time, I kind of question whether it would have. I mean, you had the budget and the crew still, but did the Halloween 3, they didn't purposely mislead you. But they didn't really do their due diligence well enough to say, yeah, this definitely isn't a Michael Myers movie. So it's kind of in between there. Would it have done as well if it wasn't at the same time? I don't know. That's kind of, you know, ever since I started this channel, I've been thinking about that. I don't know if it was called Season of the Witch, maybe it would have been less confusing. But if it didn't have that Halloween name behind it and that crew, would it have though? I don't know. It's really hard to say. Maybe in short term it would have helped it. I don't know. But now it's finally getting the recognition. It's coming into its own. Yeah, it's a lot of years later, but Tommy Lee Jones is still around, or Tommy Lee Wallace. He is getting the love now, and he's still around, and I love that for him. I love that for everybody else too. Real Michael Myers says, yeah, it should have been called Season of the Witch, not Halloween 3. Yeah, I know a lot of people think that way, and I'm definitely more leaning to that side for sure. I'm leaning more that that's probably true. It just, yeah, there's this part of me is like, I don't know, man. It may have just kind of secretly helped it, because it created enough buzz that, yeah, it pissed a lot of people off. But even if it was negative, you know, I'm a big fan of wrestling. Even heat is good. If you're not talking about anything, you're not making any money. You're not drawing any attention. It's not good. But, you know, like if it's good, whether it's good or bad, you're drawing some kind of attention. That's the way I look at it. Maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. That's just how I look at it. Number 3 on the list, we come to Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This has moved, basically swapped. I think this was my top 4 or 5 a few years ago, but I think it was like 4th or 5th or something like that. Now it's moved all the way up to number 3. This right here is one of the most solid movies in the entire franchise. This was a good return. It was back to basics. There wasn't a lot of blood, a lot of gore, no gratuitous nudity, unfortunately, for those of us who like the TNA in these movies. But there's just something about this, man. The lighting, I love all the characters. There's just enough humor and good moments. It's a very quotable movie. The only obviously negative thing is that damn mask, and you can see by the poster here, such a misleading thing, man. If they would have just kept that mask or been able to do something, I don't know if it was licensing issues. I have heard that they had a mask that looked better, and when they painted it took away all that shit. I don't know, but either way, I don't know why they struggled from here on out for a while to get a decent mask. You would think that would be the first thing in a meeting, a production meeting. They're like, okay, the first thing we need to do is make sure that mask looks scary and looks good. And what the I don't know. Like, I remember in an interview, Jamie Lee Curtis and some of the crew, like, being mad that they switched the mask from the K, because that original K&B, the one that I just trashed earlier, looks awful. They shot most of the movie, like 70 or 80% or something. Like, they shot most of H2O in that before they switched, and everybody was like, oh, it was just fine. I don't like. They're not either they don't fucking care, or they're not seeing what we see. I don't know why it was so hard. And of course they added the shoulder pads to George P. Wilbur here that already made it look that much worse. So if you can find yourself to get around that, this is a really solid movie. Rachel and Jamie work really well together. They're really good characters. Those Ellie Cornell and Danielle Harris are amazing together. They obviously have the chemistry. Both incredible. For a 9 or 10-year-old, Danielle Harris did such a great job. I think I mentioned it last night on the podcast, or on the stream last night. Try and find me another movie, especially in the horror franchise, where a 10-year-old did that good. You know, there's a few of them out there. You know, I think Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin had that one. Was it Son? The other son, Good Son. There's a few good child actors out there, but she, man, it's hard to find one that's as good as Danielle Harris in that movie. And of course, Ellie Cornell did amazing. I think I actually ranked her, if you guys missed it last night, I ranked her as my top final girl, my top lead female in the entire franchise, even over Laurie Strode character. I think Rachel Carruthers went through way more shit in this movie. I think she is a solid character. She's everything you'd want her to be in a final girl or a lead character. So yeah, solid movie, solid movie. Okay, now we are getting down to the last two, and some of you might not agree with this. Some of you might find it surprising. Maybe some of you don't, because you've seen my channel and I talk one of them up so much. So number 2 is Halloween 78. Now, any of my rankings in the past, I've always put Halloween 78 number 1. And don't get me wrong, it's still very close, because they're same night. But I had to be true to myself after thinking about it, and maybe some of it is because of nostalgia. But and I'm just gonna go right into there's enough to be said about Halloween 1. I've already said enough. A lot of people say, everybody knows why this is probably number 1 on most people's list, or why it should be. But number 1 is Halloween 2 for me. A lot of it's because it was my first one. I thought they took everything from 78. It's kind of a perfect, it went more in the slasher territory, but they took everything and they ramped it up. The music, the mask was still the same, but it looked crazier. It looked like more demonic. Everything just was really ramped up, and I thought a lot darker. The setting, the hospital. Yeah, Laurie was kind of bedridden, and that sucks. There was some wild ass dialogue by Dr. Loomis, but not as wild as it gets in the future movies. Just overall, such a good movie, man. I absolutely love the kills were amazing. And yeah, I don't know. This movie is so special to me. There's so many good moments. And as much as I love 78, and I grew to love 78, and I was so afraid to put 78 anywhere but number 1 for so long, because, that's what everybody does. But this one just, edges it out. They're really, like I said, they're both close. I mean, you can almost even call it a very similar movie. They did such a good job at making this feel like it was in the same night, in the same style. John Carpenter still had his hands all over this. I know he doesn't like this movie. I know he claims, he wrote it with, being drunk and whatever, him and Deborah. He did the sister angle. And I love John Carpenter, but that's one thing I disagree with him on, man. This is a fucking killer movie. And I don't care what anybody says, the brother-sister thing, it may not be scary to some people, it may be dumb to some people, but I think it's what gives this series its charm. It's what did it for 40 years before they retconned all the shit. And I'm still pissed they retconned Halloween 2. Yeah. Dude, I don't know what else to say. This movie, I don't know what people put this middle of the road for some reason. I don't know. This is strong, man. Even if you didn't put this number 1, this is the strongest sequel 100%. And yeah, there's nothing about the brother-sister thing that makes it any less scary for me. This movie fucked with me as a kid. And, not extreme. I mean, I didn't lose sleep over it. I didn't but, it's like Scream and a few others for me as a kid too. When I was a kid watching Scream too young, I didn't want to answer the fucking phone. We lived out on a farm, and, I've got windows all around me. They can see in to me. I can't see out to them. I'm miles from town. There's no help coming. This here, man, this made me scared of hospitals. And man, it's this creepy setting. And I love all the characters in this, all the supporting characters, everybody. I love this movie. I can't talk enough good things about this movie. I can recognize some of the faults for sure, but yeah, overall, solid. Like I said, as for Halloween 78, everybody's gone in length on why that movie is so amazing. And I absolutely 100% agree. I said it last night on the channel. I don't think Michael Myers has ever looked or been shot or filmed in such a way that he has in these two movies, in the first two. I don't think anybody has touched it. Lighting, mask, look, everything. And I think Nick Castle's a better Myers just because he seems to glide. He's not quite as robotic. Dick Warlock's a little too robotic, but it scared the shit out of me just the same. Let me get to some comments real quick. In fact, actually, let me move this up. I'll get this before I go to comments. I'll go ahead and put everything up for anybody who's missed them. This is my full rankings, guys. This is my whole, in case you missed it. This is my full ones. Here, let's see. Honestly, I get the whole respect to the OG, but I think Halloween 1 is overrated. Oh, okay. All right. I don't know if I would call it overrated, but I kind of see where you're coming from. Like I said, it may be put too much on a pedestal. I think, yeah, I mean, these two movies are still my favorite of all time. They'll always be my favorite all time. I can't watch one without watching the other, for sure. But, you know, like, I love watching Halloween 2. It's such an experience, or Halloween 1 is such an experience, but I'm pretty giddy when I get to Halloween 2, just because it's so wild. He's got, Devin, you got 2 over 1 as well. That is awesome. Glad I'm not alone here. Still go back on the sister angle, though. Yeah. You know, I get it. I get that Michael Myers is probably scarier with no motive. Or maybe it's just creepier to everybody when he has no motive. He just aimlessly, randomly going from point to point, killing people at random. You don't know who he's gonna take out next. I get that. But you know, everybody, like I said, we've been living with it for 40 years. Everybody's got their thing. Everybody's got a backstory of some kind or a reasoning. He doesn't necessarily have to have a motive to be scary, but he doesn't necessarily not have to have a motive to be scary. I don't know if I worded that right. Halloween 2 is proof enough, even though the sister thing only got revealed in like one scene. It's proof enough that even when he was still absolutely menacing. And I still think, even with all the bullshit in 4 and 6, he was still pretty menacing and scary. I mean, obviously it's not this mask, but I don't know. It kind of gives this series its charm. It gives it drive, and you know, you can just always unveil different characters, relations, family members, and people around them. I don't know. I think it drives okay. I mean, Jason Voorhees is getting revenge on his mom. You know, his mom was getting revenge on him, and you know, of course, later on, he just becomes a zombie who just hell-bent on killing anything that's in his area, and then he travels other places too. But I don't know, like, everybody's kind of got their thing, and the brother-sister thing, the family thing, is just kind of Michael's. I don't know, it doesn't bother me, man. And, you know, I admire the fact that they tried to nix that to a point in the new one, but they didn't capitalize on it. It didn't make Michael any more or less scary. In this one, they ended up having to insert a stupid story into 2018 with Dr. Sartain just to try and get Michael and Laurie back together, and you know, only come to find out that, you know, he's not going after her. It was Dr. Sartain's deal, and I don't know, that was stupid too. So I don't know, like, what, I don't even know what to do, but it doesn't bother me. I think the sister brother thing, the familia thing, doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. I've lived with it for so long. I think as long as you give me Michael Myers with a good mask, killing people, and you make him, you know, stand out, like if you put him in really good lighting and you make it creepy and you give us good atmosphere, you give us a good fall setting in Haddonfield or whatever, I'm gonna probably enjoy it. You don't have to get too crazy with the story. It's a pretty simple formula. I know some people are really hell-bent on just changing shit up every now and then, but to be honest, I don't want anything different. I can watch Michael Myers all the time, as long as, you know, you do that simple thing. I don't care what else you put him in. Well, that makes sense, but I think that pretty much wraps that ranking up. I thought about doing my top moments too, but I really couldn't pin them down. That was a little bit too hard. There's a lot of really good moments in this franchise. And it doesn't necessarily have to be kills, but you know, obviously some of them involve kills. Laurie calling out Michael and H2O, like I mentioned before, was one of my favorite moments of the franchise. And that crescendo of music. Tommy seeing Michael outside in 78. You know, it's in my opening actually, on my normal videos, and that silhouette of him outside, that's one of my favorite shots of that film. I love the blood tears moment in Halloween 2. Ben Tramer's death was hilarious. That scene, I think I mentioned it last night too, that scene where he comes out from the shadows and kills Jill with the syringe is one of the best shots of that whole entire movie with the mask. Yeah, overall, man, I absolutely love this franchise. But, you know, it's not really that controversial of a list, to be, I don't think, but it definitely represents me pretty well. Halloween 2, Rob Zombie is definitely the worst. Ends is just unforgivable trash. It's a little bit better than 2. Both of them are just too, they're too depressing, they're too serious, they take themselves way too serious, and there's nothing really that redeeming about them. You know, if you want to copy shit, don't copy a Stephen King movie and put it in a Halloween film. Rob Zombie just altogether hasn't impressed me since House of 1,000 Corpses. Devil Rejects was okay, but yeah. I think the biggest thing for me is just finally just coming to terms, like Halloween 2 is my favorite over 1. And then of course the fact that H2O has slid down and Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers producer's cuts went so high up is crazy. And Resurrection's gone up. You know, I can make a case for Resurrection. And like really 9 through 11, 12, you know, I have to just kind of, well, 9 through 11 will always, well, 9 and 10 will always be in my rotation, but they're okay. I think 11 and 12, I have to be in the mood for. 13 and 14, I don't care to ever revisit again. I can just watch the best clips on YouTube or something. I think that'll about cover all that shit, though. Does anybody got any questions or comments or anything? Before I wrap up, I can do a quick Q&A if so. I will be, after this, I'm going to be working on Friday the 13th Part 2, my review of that. I've kind of started a little bit of work, but I've been kind of worried about getting these streams up and going, and took a little bit of a break. So I'm ready to get started on that. I did promise a person when I hit 500, I told someone I would pick a movie at random of their requests, and I chose I think it was Rebecca Sue for The Faculty, and I will be doing that. I do intend on doing that. It does keep getting pushed back, but I will be finishing that up, and at some point I'll be doing The Fog too. But and that I might release those like in between a couple of my Fridays, but I'm trying to get back to Friday 13th so I can be hot and heavy in that, and then I'll be doing maybe some game streams or videos, maybe just like on a day a week or something, or I might start another channel from that. That's just something for the side. A-Team, hey, I made it to the end. You did. What do you think? What do you think about my ranking? I had to put Halloween 2 number 1. Like I said, a lot of it is nostalgia. It was my first one. A lot of love and respect for the first one. It's a very close second, but Halloween 2 takes it for me. It's just so fun. Even the music, man, the score is amazing in 1, but the score in 2 with added the synth and the electrical stuff, I thought that was pretty cool. It felt like more demonic to me. Any hidden gem horror recommendations? I'm trying to think of the last one I really watched. Have you watched Night of the Creeps? I watched that for actually Andrew, who's really good about hidden gems. Somebody that streamed with me last night. He's really good about finding shit like that, and I think Night of the Creeps is a good one. If you have not dove into some of Carpenter's other stuff, Prince of Darkness is pretty fun. I watched Body Bags the other night. That was okay. I could tell I guess they were supposed to maybe combat Tales from the Crypt, and it got canceled, so they just released it as a movie. It was alright. It was alright. Devin says your ranking is solid. I respect it, but I would move some things around my list. Give me you guys lists in the comments. Let's see some lists if you got some. At least I'd like to see those. Definitely classic. I remembered from a kid. Yeah. But it's hard to, like, right off the top of my head. It's hard. Let me see. I did watch, I don't get a lot of time to watch a lot of new movies. I did watch Totally Killer. If you guys like if you guys like more screamish type movies, Totally Killer was pretty fun for a new horror movie. We watched Five Nights at Freddy's, and actually I thought Willy's Wonderland was better than Five Nights at Freddy's. So if you haven't seen Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage, I highly recommend that. That is wild. I think it's better. I think the story's probably better in Five Nights at Freddy's. There's actually some backstory there, some development. But I think overall enjoyment, I got more enjoyment out of Willy's Wonderland. Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer. I have not seen that one. In the Mouth of Madness is good. The Prowler, if you like more B movie stuff, if you just kind of want to watch some old B movie horror or slashers, The Prowler is decent. Terror Train is pretty decent. They're definitely My Bloody Valentine's pretty good too. I mean, maybe there's not really hidden gems, but they're not a lot of people would probably think about those nowadays. Prom Night, First Prom Night. Trying to think of was The Howling? I think it might have came out the same year as American Werewolf in London. They were both good. The Howling's actually not that bad. Rodriguez, they need to put Danielle Harris in some future Halloween project because she's great and got done dirty twice. I agree. I do agree. I agree. I don't know what she would do. Maybe you could, I mean, we're already retconning shit. Maybe you could retcon the fact she got killed in 6 and go from 4, or maybe just kind of reboot it. I mean, we're no matter what you do, you're probably going to have to reboot a timeline, right? Or create a new one. So I wouldn't even mind if, as much as I love 4, I wouldn't mind if they picked up after 4 or picked up after 2 and kind of ran with that. Maybe something in the 80s. I do hate that Danielle Harris got jacked around a couple different times. 18 missed this one. Halloween 2 is up there for me too. It's the first one I remember, saw it when it came out. Nice. Yeah, I think it was on USA or something when I watched it. It was like Halloween night. I was at my grandma's house. I was really young. Scared the shit out of me. And it was definitely the theatrical cut, which they played the TV version a lot growing up, but which I think is an okay cut. the theatrical cut was definitely played that night, because Alice did not get killed in a TV cut, and she got killed in this one, and that kind of messed with me a little bit too. That blood splatter up on her neck. Better utilization of the hospital than kills, absolutely. I love that hospital setting in Halloween 2. Something about it being dark, and yeah, it was kind of barren. There wasn't a lot of people around, but I know at this day and age, you're probably going to be hard pressed to go find a hospital that is that quiet even at night. But I don't know, they get pretty quiet. They did kind of the same thing in Halloween 3. It was, it was a pretty quiet little hospital. Oh man, put me on the spot here. Okay, you worked at video rental store. What was your movie discovered? Wouldn't have found otherwise and loved. Let me think. It's been so long. There's literally thousands of movies going through my head. So I'm trying to I could still picture my store too and where everything was at. So I'm trying to go through that and see. And this is not a horror movie. So this may not make it shit to anybody, but Into the Night. It's got Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Pfeiffer. It's 1985. Was such a fun movie. And I had an old friend who's not with us anymore, who absolutely loved movies. He used to come in and talk to me all the time. And he actually told me about it, because he lived in LA for a lot of years. I think during the riots, he was quite a bit older than me. So he actually worked at a catering company. I got to hear all kinds of cool stories of him. He got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was at the Batman Returns, I think it was the after party to the premiere or something, because they were catering that event. So he got to sneak in a photo with Michelle Pfeiffer. I thought that was a pretty funny story. But he's the one that led me to Into the Night. It's kind of it's got a lot of people. There's going to be some people you recognize. There's going to be some people you don't. What's his name? Jonathan Landis, is that his name? The director of American Werewolf in London. He's in it. He's one of the bad guys, the henchman. He had his tongue cut out so he can't talk. But these bad guys who are looking for him, they're looking for this jewel, I think it was, and they just, every time they go somewhere, they wreck just everything. They'll just knock shit off. Well, it's kind of a dark comedy, and Jeff Goldblum is being cheated on by his wife, and he's at this dead-end, boring-ass job. And, his buddy, who's Dan Aykroyd in the film, which is before Dan Aykroyd got, well, it'd been a year after Ghostbusters, but, so I guess he was already big. But his buddy's Dan Aykroyd. He tells him, you know what, go to Vegas and get laid, and, just fly over there. It takes no time. Just come back, just go over a couple hours, come back. Do some coke, get laid. So he drives to the airport, and he's like, what am I doing? This is crazy. And right about that time, Michelle Pfeiffer comes through. She gets off the plane. She's being chased by these dudes who wants this gem or whatever she's got. And she falls on the hood of his car. She hops in his car, says drive, they take off. And it's pretty much them over the course of a whole night and maybe into the next day and night, where they're just kind of running from these dudes and trying to figure things. It's pretty cool. And they kind of develop this relationship in the process. It's a really, really cool, adventure movie. Just through LA, just trying to protect her. I thought it was pretty cool. Michelle Pfeiffer, really young. She's hot in that movie. The Eyes of Laura Mars, 1978, written by Carpenter, sold before Halloween was greenlit. Oh, okay. Your movie was Lost Highway by David Lynch. Okay, that's a good one. Think. Like I said, I got a billion movies running through my head right now, but it's all getting muddied. think real quick. I saw a movie yesterday, a video yesterday where Al Pacino admitted to snorting actual coke on a set of movies. Would surprise me, dude. I'm sure it was in the 80s, and it's a wild ass time. Has anybody seen the new Exorcist yet? I've heard nothing but bad things. So can we talk about the theory that Michael was after Annie in the first film and never Laurie? I must know your thoughts. Yeah, because the speed kills comment. I mean, you know, maybe Laurie was collateral damage. You know what? Maybe it just kind of it probably just worked out perfectly. He you know, he saw Laurie. He was kind of enthralled by Laurie. She's the one that showed up on his doorstep. But then Annie made her comments. He's like, well, I'll just fuck everybody up. I don't know. That's probably the way it went down. Honestly, he just like, it was just kind of a, let's get everybody. Could have let him go, but she had to say, she had to open that mouth of hers. You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say if Michael, you know, did Michael just know that she was gonna go discover all the bodies of her friends? He just knew. He was setting her up. Or would he just let her go after he killed everybody? Memento. Oh, dude, Memento was awesome. Memento was awesome. I think I'm going to skip The Exorcist, though, for real. I've been hearing nothing but bad. I don't know. I'll probably watch it. If it comes to streaming, I'll watch it. Just to see what all the fuss is about. My favorite Friday the 13th? Well, my ranking of that's going to be ways off anyway, so we'll see if it changes between now and then. But as of right now, I think Friday the 13th Part 4. I think 4, and then 6. 6 is just so fun, man. 6 and the remake is actually the strongest remake I think I've seen of the slasher movies. love Friday the 13th Part 4. But I do like, and I like Corey Feldman's Tommy Jarvis, but I like Tommy Jarvis from Part 6 a lot too. I think, and really Megan, the final girl in Part 6, is one of the strongest, I think, final girls in the series. She's definitely in my top, I'd say 3 or 4. Just overrated. Fun, exciting, not scared of shit, willing to get, I mean, she wasn't as physical and didn't beat the shit out of him like Tina did, but or even Jenny, like Jenny too, from Part 2. Part 2 is another one that's in my top 5. But yeah, definitely love 4 and 6. Devin, all right, brother, I'm gone. See you, buddy. Thank you very much for dropping in. Talk to you later. Hey, team. He spends so much time over at Lindsay's house. He's still there when Laurie comes across the street and ignores every sign of a break. Yeah. Yeah. He just putting up his work. That's all he's doing. He's still this way. He doesn't even know. Oh, you're watching Believer tonight? Okay. You're okay with... Okay, I got you. Was Exorcist 3 the one that everybody talks about the scene? I think it was 3 that where like the figure with the hedge clippers or whatever the fuck comes across she opens the door and opens it back up and walks across the hall, and that was a scary ass scene. I think that was 3. Exorcist 3. I need to go back and watch those Exorcist movies. It's been so long. I watched the first one maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I haven't seen 2 or 3 in a long time. So I probably need to go back and watch that. I watched The Omen, the remake of The Omen, a couple nights ago. That was my girlfriend Chelsea's choice. She see that. I've been trying to get her to watch Friday 4. We've watched the first 3, and I'm trying to get her to go through the marathon. She's dragging her feet on it, so she ended up picking that. And then she picked Totally, which I picked Totally Killer, and we both really liked that. I thought Totally Killer was a really good movie. It's kind of a perfect blend of like Scream and Hot Tub Time Machine. But I had a good one. Rodriguez, good stream. Do more in the future. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I absolutely will. We if you're around tomorrow night, I know it's Halloween night, guys. If you're not busy, about 7:30, I'd say, maybe a little before. I'm gonna try to start just a few minutes earlier than that, but about 7:30. Andrew's coming back. We're doing a versus tomorrow. We have another channel called Macho Movie Madness. We do a lot of like old B movies and action sci-fi on there. We do some horror, but watch some of those if just kind of get a taste. But we're gonna do it live here on StreamYard tomorrow night. Hopefully we can get our other buddy Kenny in. But we're gonna do Halloween 2 versus Halloween 4. The 2 of our favorite sequels, all of our favorite sequels, and we're gonna put them up head to head to see if we, just depending on the categories, which one might be a stronger sequel. I think you all know where I'm probably gonna lean, and I think Kenny would probably lean towards 2, but I'm trying to find some categories that will be a little bit more fair, because Halloween 4, other than The Mask, is a very strong outing. So if you're interested in that, we're gonna all be on tomorrow night about 7:30. So check us out there if you're not busy. A-Team watched Omen 2, 3, love them. Yeah. So I need to watch 2 and 3. I've never actually watched them. For whatever reason, I was really pissed at the ending of the first one. I understand why they had to end it that way, and it makes it it's probably the best way to end it, especially if you want to do more. But shit, that sucks, man. Just that well, I won't spoil anything if people haven't seen it, because it is kind of an older movie now. But yeah, and the remake got a lot of shit, which I didn't realize the remake got so much shit. I guess maybe because it was too much like the original. But I thought it was pretty decent. The original was really creepy. I think the kid in the original is creepier though than the kid in the remake. I gotta be in the mood for, like, I love slasher movies. I gotta be in the mood for supernatural shit. I do, however, love Insidious. Insidious 1 and especially 2. I watched 3. I have not watched, is it 4 and 5 now? There's 4 and 5? I haven't watched the last 2. I need to. Insidious 1 and 2 are amazing. And The Conjuring is amazing. Back then, the devil couldn't win. Yeah. Yeah, that's rough, man. Rough. Just the fact that the nanny killed. I'll just go ahead and say it. It's been long enough, guys. If you don't listen to this. But there's just the fact the nanny killed the wife, and then all the shit in the church. Oh my god, like what the hell? It was a good movie, but I guess that was supposed to be the desired effect that I'm supposed to feel that way. Y'all like Scream? I know Devin does. He might be gone already. I'm going to be doing, once I finish, which is going to take me a while to get through Friday, but once I get through Friday, I think I'm going to do Scream, because Scream is my third favorite next to Friday. Obviously Halloween's number 1. I'd probably put Freddy after that. I'll probably do Scream, and then I'm going to go to Nightmare for my franchise reviews. Screamers is another one if you guys like sci-fi horror. Screamers is another one with Peter Weller. I thought that was a pretty good movie. It's kind of, there's a couple creepy moments in that too. Not If I See You First. If you're still in, if you're around tomorrow night and you end up joining in on that versus stream, ask Andrew, ask us that again, ask us that question of the like a undiscovered movie, or like the hidden gems. Ask us that again, because he would probably, him and Kenny both are connoisseurs of the horror franchise, or just any, especially Andrew's really good at hidden gems. I think Kenny's watched just about every damn movie known to man. He's even better at it than me. So ask it again, because I bet you we can come up with some shit. We'll have a portion like this in the stream tomorrow night too. We'll ask us that again. I bet you they'll come up with some good shit. AT, my parents love horror, so I saw these films from age 4 on. Nice. They would come back to the theater before VHS rentals took off, so they burnt. Nice. Well, you know, and back then, even when VHS did start, man, it took like 6 or 8 months or better for them to even come out. It wasn't none of this, 2 or 3 months later shit, or even less now that streaming's around. You went to a theater and you watched a movie, you weren't going to see it on video for almost another year. And they were all like $60 a piece. I'm so glad, like when I had the movie store, I know it was towards the end of the video rental side of things, but when I am thankful that I got to spend $20 a pop on a movie or whatever to rent out to people or copy. Back in the day, like even I think in the 90s, 80s and 90s, Blockbuster would be buying VHSs, multiple VHSs for like $100 a pop, $60 to $100 pop. And, you had to make your money off of that. And of course, they were so hot back then, they were going to make money, but that's just crazy to think about now. But having movie stores, man, that's a thing in the past. And unfortunately, a lot of younger people will never get that sense of like that feeling, that sense of like pride going in there and spending 15, 20, 30 minutes just perusing through shit and picking out something and going home and eating a bunch of junk food with your friends and watching them. Such a good time. It's very similar feeling to, maybe going in on playing GoldenEye. If you guys are about maybe if you're like mid 30s or so, like me, your favorite pastime is playing GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64 and drinking Mountain Dew. Yeah, it's just the same thing, same feeling. For sure. Oh, and someone else commented, these streams were a great idea. Saves editing time and your presentations are great. Thank you very much. Thank you, A-Team. I appreciate that. It does save a little time. Like I said, I love the editing process. I love doing this. And I'm so glad I found StreamYard though, because I was doing Riverside before. I think StreamYard's a way better platform if you want to stream to multiple things. I had to pay for it, and that's not a big deal to me. But it's just so nice to be able to throw this stuff up on the screen and do a decent little presentation for everybody. And I'm looking to do some more of this stuff just to save a little of time. I won't do that for my real reviews, obviously. I'm still going to do, like for my Fridays and everything, that'll still be done in that style, because I love that a lot. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, but it makes me feel good at the end, being able to present something like that and hopefully have everybody enjoy it. But other than that, this stuff is so much easier, and it takes me enough time between my regular job anyway to do everything. And then of course, like, I'm balancing. Macho Movie Madness has become more of just a collaborative hobby thing. Like it's kind of taken a back seat. Andrew's doing Drew reviews. Kenny doesn't do YouTube other than that stuff with us. Our old buddy Chris, who started the old channel with me years ago, doesn't really do it with us anymore. He just pops in from time to time, very rarely. So me and Andrew decided to focus on our own thing, but also still come together as collaboratives and do that. So we'll still do that from time to time, but just not as much. But yeah, it does save me between all that and work. It saves me so much time to get this stuff out. And, you know, we also talk wrestling on another channel. We probably are too stretched in. We're probably idiots for doing all of that. But between all that, it takes me usually 2 to 3 weeks to get a review video out. And that's okay. I kind of want to let some of those sit and rest for a little bit too. Gives people some time to watch it. You know, I don't want to be pumping stuff out every single day because I think it becomes oversaturated. I think there's not enough out there to do that. I don't want to feel like I am obligated or like pressed to do it, because then I'll stop enjoying it, and then you guys won't value the content as much. I won't value my work as much. It's just not good. You know, I've been trying some. I tried one news video. I might, you know, as soon as the new movies like for Friday or Halloween kicks off, I'll provide you guys updates with that as I learn them that are actual real updates. But there's no, and I might even do that on the streams actually instead. But I don't know. I think I just don't want to pump something out every day or every 2 days, because then it just would become a hassle. And I think I can focus more of my time in getting better at editing and doing what I do on those review videos. And if I take my time, it's going to come out better for everybody. Yes, my dad bought Star Wars for $100, and I think it was a copy. I know, VHSs were insane, right? Movies were crazy back then. I remember Blockbuster wanted $70 to order a VHS that they didn't have. Yeah. Insane. That's insane. Keeps the algorithm going in between edited. Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's kind of why I chose to do the games too. I know that they don't get watched as much, and that's okay. I don't care. It's just one that it kind of forces me to play, because I love playing video games, but I don't get as much time anymore. So I think integrating it into this helps me go back and play, and I still want to go back and play some of the backlog, hundreds of backlog games. But it kind of gives me something to put out in between reviews, and now maybe a couple news videos every now and then and then maybe some streams will help that as well. Just keep going. And plus, I've been wanting to do this for a while, just because I want to be able to discuss shit with you guys. It's cool building the community and getting to know you all, and you know, I think it'd be even cooler for you guys if you got to know me instead of just seeing all my edited stuff. So you kind of get to see me, how I am, and all the imperfections, the O's and the ums and the I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a lot more real this way. But it's good. It gives me experience in the streaming. It gives me experience doing more off the cuff stuff. I've been doing YouTube for several years, but I've never really, until this last year, I haven't forced myself to really start getting better at it. So I think this is a great way to help me, and also a good way for all of us to get to know each other. Can you imagine paying even for like a Blockbuster copy and still paying $70 for that bullshit, or even for that price? Crazy. I know. I mean, and as time went on and people's priorities change and the price of things change, you know, it became harder and harder to have that video store too, because late fees were a bit, you know, no one wanted to pay for their mess ups. You know, it was their late fees. It was, they kept the movie. That's lost revenue for me. So I'm like, well, I've got to have, you know, and I'd always cut their late fees down because I was, you know, probably too nice, because I lived in a small town and I didn't want to piss everybody off. I wanted people to come back. Sometimes it's worth just, you know, taking care of half of the late fee and then them going and renting something. Otherwise they never show up again. So it's one of those things, as a mom and pop shop, I had to do, unfortunately, but I couldn't afford it as much as Blockbuster could. But I get it, no one wanted to take responsibility for that. So you can imagine somebody like, well, I just, you know, they rack up a $30 late fee because they kept a new movie for a week and a half or two. my turnover is not good if they do that unless they pay for the late fee. And the late fee was always just a tad bit cheaper than the movie rental. Not much, but a little bit. But they'd come in and bitch about that, and then, you know, well, so I can go buy the movie cheaper. You should have bought the movie then, or don't be late. Like, it's your responsibility. It's my property. So it was a constant battle. And then of course eventually people just became tired of it because Blockbuster eventually started the no late fees thing and the 5-day rentals for a little bit more, and then Redbox came in and killed everybody because they had no overhead. And they come in across the road from me eventually and killed me. So that kind of sucks. Such a good time, man. Nowadays we all work so much, and there's also so many revenue, like so many avenues for consuming media that, you know, it's almost overwhelming. Like, you know, you can spend 3 hours, you know, the time of watching 1 or 2 movies just trying to figure out what the fuck you want to watch on Netflix or whatever else. You got Peacock, and now they're all getting expensive because everybody's got to have everything, and it's just as much as Dish, and it sucks, man. It's crappy. It's all just going to get so high that no one's going to be able to afford that, and then eventually they're going to have to move on to something different because everybody's going to get tired of paying for that shit. I mean, I guess you can call it capitalism, but I don't think it's not the good capitalism. It's like, it's just shitty. It's just shitty. And it doesn't help that inflation's crazy and it's getting hard to live for everybody. Our video rental store would have them for us kids if we clean. Oh, nice. You'd waive the late fees for you guys. Paid back in the store. That's cool. That's cool. Do a little bit of work, get rid of late fee, and then rent a movie. Oh, you work in the music industry? Nice. Okay. iTunes killed the record stores. I know. That's another thing too, man. Going in and searching through those old stores was something that I absolutely enjoyed as a younger kid. That's why I think, you know, like I'm in a pretty small area, but, you know, we're like an hour and a half from Springfield, Missouri. We're a couple hours from St. Louis. I'm like 4.5 from Kansas City. So like Springfield's getting pretty big, but they've got like Vintage Stock and then like an Entertain Mart. I don't know if you guys have heard of Vintage Stock. It might be more local. It might just be local to the Missouri area or Illinois or whatever, but that's a pretty cool store. You can go in and you can search through records and a shit ton of movies and old games, and music CDs are still there. They got comic books. Really, really cool store. It's kind of nice going in there every now and then, and you can trade some shit and buy some used shit. Kind of nice. To be able to walk in and see a wall of, like a shelf of Super Nintendo games, even though it's very scarce, is pretty neat. I hate the fact, though, that you can walk in and vinyls become such a big thing in these last few years again that everything's like $30 or $40. And it's like, I can't afford $30 fucking for a vinyl album. That's crazy. I mean, I want to, but it's like, it's just a little too high for no more than I get my record player out every now and then. But when most of the time, most of my music is, you know, on this, and some headphones, I just don't know if I can justify it. But it's just as a collectible, you know, I've got, you guys can't see it, but I've got I do have a few vinyl. I've got Meatloaf's Bad Out of Hell and Pink Floyd's The Wall, and I put their cover arts on display on my wall here. I love that. So it's kind of nice. I think Chelsea's a big My Chemical Romance fan. She's got a few of them pinned up in another room. Your reviews, Halloween 3 for the win. What's up, Andrew? I was just talking to him earlier about how our big versus stream tomorrow night. I checked that out. Halloween 2 versus Halloween 4. Andrew is the Halloween 3 lover, and I mean, it's in my top 5. I've grown to love it a lot, but he's the big one. Andrew, if I got you in here, if you're still watching, are you on break or lunch? If you are, we work in the same place, by the way. I had a really good question earlier, and my mind goes blank, tends to go to blank. If you can think of some hidden gems, some old hidden gems, doesn't necessarily have to be horror. Try maybe horror first. Think of some hidden gem movies. I couldn't really think of too many of them. Think of and put them in the chat. If not, I did say that we can next 20 or so. We can maybe answer it tomorrow night. Think of some. We should answer that. I know you and we can ask Kenny the same thing, because he's all over. He's watched like every movie I think known to man. Here. No, he'll think of something maybe. If not, we'll worry about it tomorrow. But just I want to plant that in his mind. I said, I put the Howling out there. I put the Prowler, the Burning. I didn't mention the Burning. This is the Burning. Another good slasher. Sleepaway Camp. I just thought of that. Good. Oh, creature feature. Okay. Daniel Stern and Peter McAllister. Nice. I did Night of the Creeps too. I did mention Night of the Creeps. Put this up on the screen for everybody. Get the juices in our brains a flowing here, trying to think of some shit. Been talking a little bit about my time as a movie store owner too, how expensive shit was back in the day for movie stores when they had to spend $100 on a copy of a VHS copy. Slumber Party Massacre is fun. I agree with that. It's a good one. I actually think I might actually have that. I might have that on DVD. Psycho 2? A-Team says Psycho 2 is really good. I have not watched anything past the first Psycho. Wasn't there like 3 of them? I need to do that too. There's a lot that I've got to watch. I did finally watch Piranha 2. Was James Cameron's intro into the movie world. I think was it the first one, Andrew? Like one of his first or second one? I think it was his first one. Piranha 2. What a ridiculous ass movie that was. We did a ranking of James Cameron movies over on Macho actually a little while back, and I didn't realize he only had like 8 movies. He's been around such a long time, and they've been such big movies, but I didn't realize that there were only 8 of them. He got fired twice on that one. I forgot about that. How do you get fired twice from Piranha 2? Answer me that. Jimmy boy. I'm gonna be going hard at work on Friday the 13th Part 2 though. Probably if not today, then starting tomorrow I will, and hopefully I'll have that out. I'm hoping to have it out by next weekend. I know it's that'll probably be my biggest gap yet between reviews, but it takes me a while, and I've been focusing, like I said, on this. But it'll be worth it. It'll be worth the wait. We got Cyberpunk's answer to Halloween out. That is true. That is true. His favorite movie of all time. A-Team says When a Stranger Calls. I love When a Stranger Calls. The remake was okay. I love the first one. Talk about dark. The ending was a lot darker in that one, I think, than the remake, wasn't it? Anybody watch I Spit on Your Grave? that the original or the remake, that was pretty rough. When I first watched that, I'm like, holy shit, especially that original. There was a lot of dark shit in the 70s. There was a lot of stuff in the 70s that were just really gritty and really rough. That first Last House on the Left, Wes Craven. Black Christmas is underrated, I think, a little bit. No one talks about that. Everybody kind of talks about Halloween, and I mean, Halloween is better. I like Halloween better, obviously, but Black Christmas is pretty good. She had Texas Chainsaw Massacre in '74. I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I got into a kick of watching those here recently with Chelsea after playing the new game, which I've been enjoying a lot. Excuse me, but boy, it's good, but it's not as good as I remember. I don't know if it holds up. I might say the remake might be a little bit better to watch. The 70s are dark and 80s are out of control. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I love the 80s. Chuck Norris has a slasher called Silent Rage. It's on Tubi. What? You know what it's called? Silent Rage? Oh, that's right. Rage. Why have I not heard of this? This is what I'm talking about, guys. Andrew is the man. He's going to be the one that seeks out the B movies and the hidden gems. That's why we love them. Shit that you'd never even heard of, or if you have, just maybe not in a long time. Sleepaway Camp. I actually might like Sleepaway Camp 2 better now that I've seen it than the first one. I know nothing's like that crazy ass ending of the first one, and nothing is creepier on this planet, if you guys have seen it, than her aunt at the beginning of the first Sleepaway Camp. I'm gonna talk about, that's gotta be, I'm pretty sure that she's an alien. She's gotta be, something's off. she's a lizard person or something. The weirdest acting, weirdest looking. Let's Scare Jessica to Death, 1971, and Don't Look Now, 1970 are on my list to watch. Supposed horror staples. Okay. I'll have to put those on the list, actually. I'm gonna write that in real quick. I think I've ever heard of those. Andrew, have you heard of those? Andrew says, I kind of feel like with all the racial tension in post-Vietnam, the 70s almost had to be a dark tone. Yeah, I could kind of see that. Because they kind of, you know, I mentioned it in my Friday the 13th video, they kind of really tried to push family-friendly shit then too, because I think it got kind of really dark for a minute, so they're like, oh, this might be too much. But of course, you know, much like the mid to late 90s when the grunge scene and the party scene really took off, like I think Scream really changed horror, and even like in wrestling, it got crazy. It got crazy in the 90s. I think it's just the time people were ready for it. People were done with all the passe shit. But I think by the late 70s when Halloween come along, I think that was what was going to make money. That's why Friday the 13th did so well. People were ready for that out of control 80s style that we end up getting. I think what messed with those movies in the 70s though was the lack of oh man, I don't know, it was so real. There was like no music. It didn't seem like there was any music. It just looked like everybody grabbed a a shitty cheap camera and just went out and made a movie, which I love, but also just made it even more like rough. Made it seem what was the Eli Roth movie that came out, Green Inferno, the first, what was the original, Cannibal, what the fuck was it? That one was that in the 70s? But everybody thought it was real. All the actors went off and everybody thought they'd actually died. Oh, that's true. That's true. A-Team says, true, in the rise of serial killers, Manson spooked everybody. Yeah, that was a wild time. I forgot about that. Good point. Cannibal Holocaust. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was messed up. And then when a stranger calls, that the kids actually were dead in the end of that one, right? Because the remake, I think they lived. I think he killed the kids at the beginning, the other family, but Play Misty for me with Clint Eastwood. I think I've seen a little bit of that. Yeah, that's why the 70s for the original When a Stranger Calls is, I think, a little bit better for me, just because they actually went there. There's not a whole lot of movies back in the day that were brave enough to kill kids. And Andrew knows this. Halloween 3 was one of those ballsy enough to do so. 82. First 20 minutes is pure horror. They don't show the kids, but they are gone in glory. Yeah. Joel says, I saw the conversation with Gene Hackman when I was 4, scarred for life. Yeah. I imagine so. Wasn't there like, there was all kinds of shit that I don't even know if I can find them anymore, if they're even available anywhere, or if I don't even know if I can remember half the names of them, but there was so much shit, even on TV, or that my mom didn't know what the hell it was. And I think I rented Carnivores when they lived in St. Louis, when my grandma still lived in St. Louis. My mom grew up there. So I think when we went up to a video store, I think I rented that, and because I liked Jurassic Park at the time, and that's dinosaurs, they didn't know what the fuck it was, and I didn't either. And it was just too much. Like, there's some things that's just too much. You shouldn't be watching. Not that it was like, you know, the worst thing, but I've watched Terminator 2 way too young. I watched Halloween movies way too young. I think that's what we do, though. We all just find shit that we're not supposed to be watching and then watch them. Kind of mess us up a little bit, but look at us. We're here. Who would have thought? Not me. I bet they're all on Shudder. I bet they probably are. I need to up my subscription to Shudder again. Bad C did it first, but they made him go back and redeem the kid, and you can see both. Oh, okay, cool. I haven't seen that. I need to watch that Gacy doc on Peacock. When what year was Gacy caught? Do you remember? Hilarious flick. We caught our friend's toddler watching from the wings during the hippie mask. I don't know about y'all. When I was a kid, it was a lot of like you kept a channel that of something you're supposed to be watching on like the back button or whatever, right? The return button, and then you're doing this a lot. You're watching around, doing this, making sure not just checking the shadows for monsters, but you're just kind of like looking for your parents. Like, I know I'm not supposed to be watching this shit, so. $67, $78, okay. Terrified of clowns because of him. I understand. What did you think of it then, Pennywise? Or do you think Tim Curry's version is better, or Bill Skarsgård's version is better? I think Skarsgård's might be a little bit more terrifying, but I like Tim Curry's performance just because I love Tim Curry and everything, because he's just so out of control. He's so good. I mean, and Skarsgård is too. It's going to be interesting to see that new Crow movie. I'm pretty excited for that. I know Andrew's excited for The Crow, which I think they may push back to next year. It's going to be interesting to see how that movie turns out. As beloved as the original is with Brandon Lee. Haven't seen either of the new It film. Okay. I liked them. I did like them. I think I have a soft spot for the old TV movie. Tommy Lee Wallace directed that one as well, for those who didn't know that. I think Tim Curry was awesome. I love like John Ritter. I love everybody in that movie, actually. It's hard not to love that movie. I grew up with it. It creeped me out. I think the new ones are good. I think they're obviously better in a produced sense because of time and money and all that and effects. But I think it was a lot more serious. There's definitely a lot more gore involved. Obviously, like he bit George. Not to spoil too much, but he bit Georgie's arm off. It actually showed him biting the missing arm and the blood. So definitely worth watching, I think. But I'll always have a soft spot for the original. I think the second one, by the way, the second part, when they're adults, is a little bit weaker than the first one. The first one's a lot better. Ten to Midnight with Charles Bronson. Okay, I'll put this up on. Lucky 70s, 80s kid. My dad took me to lots of cult classics, stayed up late showtime after 10 p.m. and they showed off all the good. Yeah. You were lucky, man. I had to sneak it. I had to sneak it for a long time. My parents didn't want to watch that shit, and they sure as hell didn't want me to. Tim Curry made a generation afraid of clowns. I don't know what Bills did to that. Yeah, I'll agree with you there. I'll agree with you there, for sure. Tim Curry definitely... Well, and I think I would say a lot of that is probably because we're so desensitized to everything. We've seen so much. There's kids, and I seen it when I owned Boondocks, the video store that I had. Well, it's a fitting name because we're out in the middle of Uh, but the amount of little kids, especially little girls, coming in, and which women were actually my biggest customers for horror, which I kind of makes sense because a lot of the guys love more of the action. But little kids, man, little girls especially loved horror movies. So I think I think we're just all so desensitized to everything we've seen, the exposure, everything, the availability. I think you still had somewhat into the 90s, late 90s, I think was still kind of, maybe early 2000s, I don't know. I think you still had some of that where we weren't as desensitized to everything. But, you know, I think post 9/11 and then post Saw, we have been exposed to so much shit on TV and movies and in real life that we're just like, meh. And then kids can handle, I think that's why kids can just like pick up a tablet at 3 years old and just boop boop and just know what the fuck they're doing, or figure it out. That's crazy. But I think, you know, back in 1990 when the original It came out, that's some creepy shit. I think that's why everything was so effective when they came out. And Scream was still in that time where it changed the horror again and was talked about so heavily. Just my opinion. Saw a clip of the new Pennywise. You're like, oh no, thank you. Did you see that he could, when he did that thing where he can move his eyes to the outsides? He actually, Bill Skarsgård, that wasn't CGI. He actually could do that. That's crazy. Crazy. Gates of Hell, dude. I haven't seen Gates of Hell, I'd say, in 15 years. And I'm just guessing. It's been a long time. I'd say it would had to be somewhere around in there though, because it would be. How long have I been out? So 16. Yeah, probably around the time I was high school. I think I may have watched it. Is that the Johnny Depp one? Is that the one I'm thinking of? Is that the one? I got my time frame in my movie right. Could be wrong on that. I might be thinking of a totally different movie. Or is that the 80s movie? Oh, there's an 80s one. Okay. I'm way the fuck off. I have not seen that one. That's an old one. I'm assuming that's probably what you're talking about, the 1980 one. What the fuck was I thinking of with Johnny Depp then? Was that a remake or was that? Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that's the one. I need to see that one. I haven't seen that one. Double features at the drive-in were dying when I was little, but I'll never forget my dad driving off with the first 10 or so MFs and Eddie Murphy's right. Damn it, Dad. Turn this fucking car around. I can take it. Now, see, first I met a few people that are all afraid of all clowns. When I asked why, they said Tim Curry. Yeah, that I believe it. I believe it. Tim Curry. Well, and Tim Curry's just freaky anyway, right? Like, he's just kind of creepy. He's got that weird face. He got that dastardly smile and eyes. Like, he even had that little grin in Home Alone 2. Like, he was creepy in that movie. Is it gross? They said it was it says here it's a horror splatter film, so I bet it is. See you, Andrew. Thanks for stopping by, bud. Talk to you later. Oh man. Well, this has been fun, guys. I'm at a couple hours now. I'll probably wrap up here in just a couple minutes. appreciate you hanging around and talking to me after the ranking. That's awesome. Anybody got any final thoughts or questions for me before we wrap it up? Anything I missed? All right, so okay. Well, if there's nothing, then I guess we'll wrap it up. Appreciate y'all stopping in with me, joining me for my ranking. There's this one last look it up on the screen for those came in a little bit late. You want my reasonings, then go back and watch the stream. I'll try and get some, I'm going to get some timestamps for, I'll try and get some timestamps maybe for this one, and I'll also get some timestamps for the one last night too, that make it a little easier for people to sift through some of the rankings that we did, in case they want to just watch a particular one, go back and watch it sometime. Try and do that. This is a lot easier to do and saves me from editing a whole lot. Now I can focus all my editing and all that stuff on my actual reviews. So this has been really fun, and you know, I feel like it's been pretty successful too. I'm glad you guys are stopping in and chatting with me. It makes it so much better, so much easier, and I feel like we can kind of talk about just whatever too. So it's been really awesome. Again, real quick, just quick reminder, I am getting heavy into the production of my Friday the 13th Part 2 video that should be out by next week, sometime next weekend, probably. Hopefully next Friday. At the time of this recording, it's the 30th. That would be like, it's like the 12th. I don't know. So hopefully pushing for the 10th. I'll be looking at the 10th hopefully for that weekend. And you know, it'll take me a little bit of time because I'm just getting started on it. I've been focusing on this stuff. And be sure to join us tomorrow night, Halloween night. If you ain't got anything going on, we'll be on about 7:30 because I get off at 6:30. It'll give me some time to eat and get some stuff ready. But we'll be on tomorrow night 7:30 for our Halloween 2 versus Halloween 4 versus. We're looking forward to that. I'm excited about that. Excited to talk that over with you guys. Come in, give us your picks on everything. We're gonna have several categories, and we'll tally up the winners at the end. If there's a tie, we'll probably just turn to the comment section and we'll figure out something there. But I don't know if there'll be a tie, but it should be interesting. So thank you guys so much again for joining me. Thanks for joining last night. Hope to see you all tomorrow. I'll see you next time.